I am the Scarecrow, who is also a DC supervillain, but also a Marvel villain if you didn't know. That was Spider-Man. Oh, this hurts, dude. Oh my gosh. Hey, let me take this off for you. 1 second. Oof. So, last week on Wednesday, May 27th, all 8 episodes, the whole first season of Spider-Noir dropped on Amazon Prime. They also dropped 2 days earlier on MGM Plus, but I don't know a single soul who has MGM Plus. But anyways, I want to get into why Spider-Noir is such an amazing show. I want to talk about the story, the characters, the acting, the action, the visuals, just some of the little criticisms I have, nothing too big. Really just everything about this show. Spoilers ahead. Set in New York City and in the year 1932, Spider-Noir follows Ben Reilly, a private investigator who used to be known as the costume vigilante, the Spider. But after the death of his girlfriend, which he blames himself for, he gives up the Spider, because with no power comes no responsibility. So, 5 years after having given up the Spider, he takes a job from a man named Winston, which leads him down a rabbit hole filled with superpowered people, mysteries to unravel, World War I experiments, and a mob boss known as Silverman. Helping Ben are his assistant Janet and journalist Robbie Robertson, but also a singer working under Silverman known as Cat Hardy, who Ben falls in love with. Despite Ben not believing himself to be a hero and to have only been the Spider for selfish reasons, he proves himself wrong as he works to take down Silverman, who wants to control the city and is at odds with the city's mayor, but also he helps cure some of the powered people who their powers are going to kill them in a couple months. The writing on the show is phenomenal, the characters, but especially the mysteries. They created such interesting mysteries and how they relate to the characters, and I would say there's like 2 main mysteries of the show. The first one, which kicks the show off, is who betrayed Silverman and why. Then the second one is where are all these power people coming from and why now? Everything just feels super tight-knit and feels like every little thing matters, which is great because it allows Ben Reilly to showcase his detective skills, but also how smart he is, because he outsmarts a lot of people. And I think the best example of this is episode 3, Double Cross, where Ben sets up Winston to take the fall for the betrayal of Silverman, and when it just all comes together, you're like, whoa, so that's what he was doing? That was the plan? The markings on the money, stealing the money from Silverman, and getting Addison's wife Vera involved and caught is just such a good way at showcasing how good of a detective Ben Reilly is, because he's able to keep track of all these things and do detective work at the same time. Like, he finds out that Cat Hardy is the one that betrayed Silverman, and he's able to come up with this plan to frame Winston, and it's just so good when it comes together. And I think that's a testament to the writers, because I never realized how hard it is to create a mystery to unravel, and just because there's just so many moving parts, and this show made me realize like writing a really good mystery is really hard, but they did it perfectly. As I mentioned, the second main mystery of the show is where are the superpowered people from and why are they only showing up now? And I love the idea of connecting all of the superpowered people to a World War One, super soldier German experiments. It's such a cool idea to connect Spider-Man and his villains to World War One, and this, contributes to the 1930s aspect as well. But also to, what I said earlier is that it feels like every little thing matters because they all come from the same place, all the superpowered people. It just feels like everything has a reason for existing. And the reason for all the superpowered people popping up now is because a doctor named Faber was looking for a bunch of the POWs who were experimented on because her son was one of them and she wants to cure him. And in doing this, she accidentally, activates the superpowers in some of these people, and that gives them only a couple months to live. But what makes Ben Reilly different is that he was bitten by someone who's experimented there at the camp they were all being kept at, half man, half spider dude, which was terrifying. The story was just really well written, intriguing, and just so compelling with so many strong characters and character relationships, which I'm going to get into now. Robbie, he's such an amazing friend, and he's there when Ben needs him. Same with Janet. She stuck with him through the worst, and rightfully so. She was about to leave before Kat offered them a job, so she stayed. And speaking of Kat, I loved her and Ben's relationship. It's just so complex. In the final episode, when she says, "But in another world, I would have run away with you," like, I believe her, but Ben doesn't. And that makes sense because he feels used. And, Kat, she thought Flint was going to be gone forever. And when she actually gets the chance to keep him, she jumps for it. And, that hurt Ben ultimately, but I can understand both of these characters and why they feel the way they do. I also really love the dynamic between Robbie and Lonnie, which isn't anything new. It's from the comics and was done in the animated 90s show, but it's still done really well here too. I think if they do a second season, I'd like to see Lonnie show up somehow in some way. It'd be pretty cool.
Speaking of Lonnie, one thing I do want to add is that I did think it was a little bit weird, like how his powers were showcased, like I don't know what you want to call them, markings, because it kind of give him like an armored look, and I do think it is unique, but normally he just has like kind of like, white color or like a gray stone colored skin, but I do like that they tried something new, but I just did think like at least the markings on his forehead looked a little weird, but I still liked him. He was a great character.
Sandman too. I thought it was really interesting that he wasn't completely sand. He was kind of slowly turning into sand. And when he taking off my gloves, when he pushed that bullet like out of his arm, and then through the sand hole in his hand, I was like, oh, that's just so weird. Like, imagine that feeling. It's just I didn't like that moment. I didn't know this until looking up Dirk Layden after finishing the show, but he's a character from the comics. I thought Megawatt was supposed to be this show's version of Electro, and I was like, it was weird that he had a different name. But no, turns out he's a character from the comics, which I didn't know at all. He's also an actor in the comics too, which they kept in the show, and I think that might be why he's probably my least favorite villain in the show. Like, he's not bad at all, but I just think his actor bit was a little. And I thought he was cool though. I liked him, and I think I can totally see him coming back because he kind of just got thrown onto that train by the spider and got hit by it. We didn't see him get cured or really die. So I think if there's another season, I can see him showing up again. One moment that I loved is when Ben became the spider again to go after Silvermane for attacking his office and attacking Janet while she was there. And yes, his reason for getting Silvermane off his back is of course a little bit selfish, but he also does it for Janet. But him doing this stops Silvermane from getting to the docks where a police raid is waiting for him, and that just would have solved so many issues. But I love that Ben actually gets to, fail. He's not a perfect person, not a perfect hero, and it just makes him feel more real that he makes these decisions and we see the effects on them, and it's not always the right decision. Nicolas Cage is perfect as Ben Reilly in this show. I love the mannerisms he brings because he's playing it as a spider who became a human, and it's so funny. He has a line where he says, he forgot how to be human. He had to learn by watching movies, learning their dialogue and repeating it. It's such an interesting angle and unique way to view Spider-Man, and because it's so cool, and I really like it. It's very Nick Cage of him to do this. In the show, he's just so funny. He's so cool. He's Nick Cage. What more could you ask for? And it feels like they really wrote Ben Reilly around Nicolas Cage, and so it just elevates his whole performance to another level. And I think that Nicolas Cage, he's so much better here in this show compared to his, time as Ghost Rider. I thought he was good in the first Ghost Rider movie, don't really like the second one, but I love Nicolas Cage in this show. He's just so good. Lamorne Morris is amazing as Robbie Robertson. I love just the determination that he brought to the character. He's smart, and as I said, he's such a good friend, and I think, we all need a friend like Robbie Robertson in our life. Karen Rodriguez is great too. I love the energy she brings to the show, and Janet, she's, as I said, also a good friend to Ben, but she also proves she's capable of being a private investigator, and I love that at the end of the show, she gets her name put on the business with Ben. She deserves it. Brendan Gleeson is fantastic as Silvermane. He brings the mob boss energy very well, and he's smart too because he figures out that Ben is the spider, but he couldn't figure out that, the person who betrayed him was right under his nose, that it was Kat the whole time. And just the way he treats Kat as like an object, really, it makes it so rewarding when you see her just shoot him and kill him. And he's just a character that wants to be in control at all times. So for his final moment to just be out of his control is so good, amazing. Lee Jin Lee is also fantastic as Kat Hardy. I loved her in Sinners, so it's great that she gets a more main role in this show. And the moment when she jumped out of the window to have, this is after she figures out that Ben is the spider and he pulls her up. She knows he's gonna catch her. It's like, girl, why would you do this? It is really reminiscent of the 90s Spider-Man show where MJ also jumps off a building and Peter catches her and he's like, oh, I did it because I know you'll catch me because you love me or whatever. It's some weird thing, but I think that was like an MJ water clone in the show. Overall, the cast is just phenomenal. They're so good. The fight scenes in Spider-Noir are awesome. I love the bar fight scene where he just lashes out on all those dudes. It's hilarious. The web slinging scenes are also great, and there's really not like too much of them, but the show is also more of a detective noir show, so I think it makes sense because it's leaning more into those elements, but it is still both shows. I just think it leans more towards a noir show, which I think is the smart move. I watched the show in black and white, and I think it is 100% the way to go. When I heard they were doing black and white and color, I knew I was watching it in black and white. Part of me was thinking, after I watch a show for the first time, whenever I watch it for the second time, I'll watch it in color. But finishing it for the first time in black and white, I'm like, no, honestly, I don't think I will. Black and white just brings so much vibe, so much noir vibe to the show, and I love that. And I also just love when superhero projects lean more into a genre because it just makes them more unique. The set design and costume design on the show, very great. It feels very 1930s. What also contributes to this 1930s feel is just the amount of smoking and drinking in the show. It's just so much, but it's so fitting for the time, especially when the characters are still under prohibition. I also love the spider's, suit design. It's very cool. I love it. But I think my favorite look is when he has no jacket and no hat on, and he's in Silvermane's, area stealing the money. It gave me just very Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions vibes, which I love. It's a great game. Honestly, I don't have much criticisms with the show. What I do have are like very small, tiny ones. They aren't that big of a deal. But the first one is in the first episode. I think they could have done some of the introduction stuff with, Silvermane and the job Ben was hired to do just a little bit more, because like we kind of just jump in to Silvermane and then Ben and Donegal going after Addison. And I was kind of like, what is this Addison guy talking about? I would have liked to see maybe a scene of Winston, hiring Ben and explaining the job and just getting a mention that, crime boss Silvermane had his house attacked or something. I feel like I just needed a little more introduction. My other little criticism is, how did Doc Faber not know how to get in contact with the spider? Because it seems pretty well known that Ben Reilly has a connection to him because the mayor knows this, Silvermane knows this, but it doesn't seem he knows this till like after the spider interacts with him. But it just seems like at least some people know that Ben Reilly has a connection to the spider, and maybe it's just not like very well known. I kind of got the vibe that at least some people know about it, but I feel like if Doc Faber is doing her experiments and looking into the spider, she'd say, hey, this Ben Reilly guy, he's taken a lot of photos of the Spider-Man dude or the spider dude. I feel like maybe would have been able to draw a connection that maybe she could get into contact with him that way, or maybe Doc Faber's experiments are like relatively new within like the last 6 months or something like that. So maybe she's just new to the New York area and didn't know this. I don't know. It's not that big of a thing. Maybe there's an easier explanation, more rational one, but as I said, it's not that big of a deal at all. One random thing I want to add is that Spider-Noir kind of gave me Agent Carter vibes, because both shows very much feel like the time that they're set in, and their first episodes also just lead to like a whole mystery that they have to unravel and solve. But also it comes from they're both in the first episodes, they have like a bad guy get chased to like some facility, and like something crazy happens that the main character sees, and they have to like figure it out what's going on from there and after. It's just, maybe that's why I thought the first episode of Spider-Noir needed a little more introduction, because Agent Carter sets up the world pretty well.
Another thing I want to add really quick is that the intro for Spider-Noir is awesome. I really love the editing, and the song is pretty cool too. It's just, another great Spider-Man TV show intro that we now have.
Overall, Spider-Noir is an amazing show, a spectacular show, and a superior show to all the spumsy villain movies that Sony made. Like, who knew that making Spider-Man a main character and seeing how the Spider-Man villains interact with the Spider-Man would just work so well. The writing, the characters, the acting, just everything in the show is phenomenal. It's funny, it's a little bit campy, but it's also serious, and it balances those aspects very well. Like, yeah, it can be connected to a broader universe, but it doesn't need to. Just focus on telling an amazing story first. And I think we also got that at Marvel Studios this year with Wonder Man, which is getting a second season. And I think Marvel needs to do more projects like Wonder Man, and needs to see what Sony is doing with Spider-Noir and do stuff like this. I really hope that, we get a second season of this show, because it's just so good. And if we do get a second season, Sony, Amazon, don't make us wait like 2 to 3 years. Just make us wait a year and a half at most, please. But if anybody makes it this far, thank you for watching. If you could like, subscribe, comment your thoughts on the show and or video. But that's all I got. I gotta, get back to it. I'm starting to hear some police sirens out there, because I am obviously Spider-Man Noir right now, if you couldn't tell throughout the intro of this video. But I gotta go do some saving now.